DreAllDay.com.
What's going on, Lauren Aston Martin? I want to talk about the fundamentals, ladies and gentlemen, because the fundamentals are the basics. The fundamentals are the groundwork for anything that you get done. What's up to Harlem? Shout out to the diplomats. The fundamentals are the groundwork for anything you want to get done. You just purchased a bulletproof vest. All right, that's what's up. The fundamentals, ladies and gentlemen, are the foundation for anything that you do, anything you plan on doing successfully. You need fundamentals. I'm going to give you 3 tips right now on how to start developing the fundamentals for what you do and why you need to develop the fundamentals for what you do. Number one thing is, no matter what you're doing, whether you're playing a sport, you're starting a business, you want to become an entrepreneur, whether you just got a new job, whatever you're doing, if you're in school, you must, number one, know the rules of your game. Know the rules of the game you are playing in. If you get a new job, you got to know how the job works, right? You got to know where the phone at. You got to know where the bathroom at. You got to know what the boss expects from you. You got to know how to turn your work in at the end of the week. You got to know who the people are above you. You got to know who the people are below you. You need to know the people to the left and to the right of you. You need to know the ropes. You need to know how things go. When you playing a sport, you got to know how the sport works, right? What's the object of the game? What are the rules of the game? What do the referees say? What do the other players do? What do the players on your team do? You got to know the rules of your game. Any business that you get in, and everything you do is a business. Sports is business. School is a business. Getting a job is a business. Entrepreneurship is a business. Understand that any business that you get in, you must know the rules of the game. Know the rules of the game before you start doing stuff. Because if you don't know the rules, you might be doing a whole lot of stuff. But if you're doing the wrong things, you're going to get what result? Zero. Nothing. That's number one. Number two, once you know the rules of the game, once you know the fundamentals of the game that you are playing in, this is what you must do. You must drill and practice the fundamentals until you cannot mess them up. You must drill and practice the fundamentals till you can't mess it up, until you can't get it wrong, until you know it like the back of your hand, until you can use the fundamentals without even thinking about it. It becomes instinctive. It becomes instinctive. What is the fundamentals? Grab a dictionary. You on the phone, grab a dictionary and Google it. Number two, to getting the fundamentals right in your life, you must work on them until you can't mess them up. If you're an athlete, obviously we know about the fundamentals. You got to work on your ball handling and your shooting and your footwork and your defense. What a lot of basketball players mess up is they want to go practice the Steph Curry. They want to practice the Kyrie Irving. They want to practice all the moves without getting the fundamentals down yet. They can't even make a damn layup with both of their hands 10 times in a row, but they want to practice what they saw Steph Curry do or Kyrie Irving do on TV or on YouTube. It doesn't work like that. You got to get the fundamentals down first, then you can do the fancy stuff. See, what you don't see highlights of is the fundamentals, because the fundamentals aren't sexy. The fundamentals don't make people go ooh and ah. Understand that practicing the fundamentals, getting that baseline, those baseline skills down is boring. It is boring work. It is tedious work. It requires self-discipline. And this is the point where most people fall off. Most people fall off. Most people don't want to do this work. Or most people actually, they think that they continue. They don't even know that they fell off. They fell off and don't even know that they fell off. You know why they don't know they fell off? Because they continue and they start trying to work on putting the icing on the cake without baking the actual cake. And then when they get to the point where somebody got to eat it, people are like, this cake tastes like shit. That's when they realize that they skipped the part about the fundamentals. So you're not going to make that mistake, right? Because I'm giving you the information. So number two is you got to drill and practice the fundamental skills, the baseline skills of your business until you can't mess it up. So you know it like the back of your hand. This is boring. It's tedious. You won't get no fanfare from it. You don't get a trophy for doing it. And it requires discipline. So I'm letting you know up front what the situation is so you can't complain that you didn't know. And here's number three. The fundamentals are the basis for every single thing you do. Every single thing you do, the fundamentals is the foundation. It's like building a house. Like you see that building right there? You see that building right there? It might look pretty. You might go in somebody's condo in there and it looks great. Like they got a beautiful view. You can see the whole city of Miami. You can see the water. And you can just stand there and just look out over the balcony all day. That looks great, right? But without the foundation, that ground floor that you can't even see that's under the ground down there, without that foundation, none of this stuff happens. None of this stuff happens until you build the foundation. Because without that foundation, as soon as the wind blows or a thunderstorm comes through here, what's going to happen? That whole thing is going to fall over. The whole building is going to fall over unless you build the foundation. You must have the foundation. Where I'm at, I'm in Miami. You must build the foundation. That's the starting point for everything you do. You can't become a pro basketball player without fundamental basketball skills. And you can't become a a great business person without learning the fundamentals of whatever business you in. You got to know the financials. You got to know how to deal with people. You got to know the ins and outs of whatever it is you're doing, whatever product you sell. You got to know who your customers are. You got to know who your competitors are. You got to know everything about it to get it right. So I'm going to go over all 3 points again, and I'm going to take some questions. All right, number one thing is that you must know the rules of your game. Any game you get in, you must know the rules of your game. Without knowing the rules, you shouldn't be playing. Number two, once you know the rules, you know the fundamentals, you got to work on them until you can't mess them up. Drill them until you cannot mess them up. Number three, the fundamentals are the basis for every single thing you do. Fundamentals are the basis for everything you do. Without fundamentals, nothing you do is going to work. Not in the long run. It might work in the short term, but it won't work in the long run if you do not have fundamentals. Let me take any questions. Anybody got a question, I'll take it. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. I come from Philadelphia. I live in South Florida. I'm a professional speaker, professional athlete. I got a podcast called Work on Your Game that comes out every day. Of course, podcast is free. If you want to learn more from me, you need to listen to that podcast. How do you get good grades? You study. Study and then pass the tests. 2 things you got to do. What do I think about Ramadan? I don't think anything about Ramadan. It has no bearing on my life. Yes, I do live here. If you want to learn how to get this mindset, how to get the mentality of discipline, the mentality of building fundamentals, dreallday.com/bulletproof. Am I doing any more snap? If I do, you'll know about it. I'll tell you. What if you still fail at studying? Then you need to get better at studying. You need to work on your game. Work on your study game. Go find somebody who passed, and then you need to go study with them, because obviously they're doing something that you ain't doing. If you studied and failed, then you're studying. You failed at studying. That's the problem. You need to get better. You saw me on Whistle Sports, that's what's up. Shout out to everybody who saw me on the Snapchat takeover, Whistle Sports. My Snapchat is at Dre Baldwin. What's my goal for this year as a whole? It's something that I know, something that you don't know. What is your goal for this year is the better question. You don't even have to answer. You need to answer it for yourself, not for me. Your goals are not for anyone else to know. It's for you to know. I remind you of E.T.? Okay. Shout out to E.T. I did a video with E.T. in 2012. My Snapchat is at Dre Baldwin. It's my Snap. So any of y'all on Snapchat, follow me on Snapchat. Have I been to London? Yes, I have. I've been to London like 3 times. Yeah, like 3 times. Game 6 winner, we'll see. Whoever has the most points. Yes, go to dreallday.com. Person asked me about playing basketball. dreallday.com. Am I practicing veganism? I didn't know that was a word, but I've never practiced veganism, so you got some bad information. Wherever you heard that, you didn't hear it from me. Do I like London? Yeah, London's great. Shout out to London. Shout out to Estelle. American boy, I like that. How did you get exposure in basketball? Step number 1 is have some game. That's a step most players never pass step number 1. So nothing else is going to work. Step number 1 is get some game. All right, any of you got any other questions for me? My website, dreallday.com, will answer 99% of your questions. My Snapchat is at Dre Baldwin. If I don't talk about it there, you can snap me. If it's a relevant question, I will respond to it. But if it's not, I won't. Why am I working so hard? I didn't see that question. Post that question again, whoever said that. Sports is staged. Yeah, that's what people in the audience say. What was one of the first speakers you listened to? I don't know. Haven't been in any school fights. That's not a relevant question. Somebody asked me a question about working so hard. I'm waiting for that question to repost, and I will answer that question. But if that question don't come back up, then I'm not answering any more irrelevant question. Why am I working so hard if you're not planning to go pro again? Well, how you know? First of all, how you know how hard I'm working? Number 2, how you know what I'm planning to do? And number 3, what's your definition of hard work? Hard work is relative. So what's hard for one person can be easy for another person. So the question rather is, what do you consider to be hard work, and why don't you raise the bar what you consider to be hard work? Number 2 question is, why are you concerned with what someone else is doing? Why at all? When you should be concerned with what you're doing, not what someone else is doing, because that person is not concerned with what you're doing. And number 3, actually, those are only 2 questions. If you can answer those 2 questions, it'll probably change your entire life. All right, everybody. My Snapchat is at Dre Baldwin. Hit me on Snap. Y'all got any questions for me? My website, dreallday.com. Work on your game. Dre all day. If you're on Snapchat, hit me on the Snap. My Snap name is at Dre Baldwin. You already know how that works. And I got a podcast, if you didn't know. It is called Work on Your Game. It is an everyday podcast where I talk about getting yourself into the right mindset, that bulletproof mindset. Getting yourself seen, heard, known. Getting the exposure you want and making things happen in your life instead of waiting for things to happen to or for you. Subscribe to that podcast. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Make sure you check it every single day. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the heat. Work on your game.
Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball, Dre Ball. I'm ballin'. I feel like